Hey, today I'll be going over my custom display entity-based particle system in Minecraft. I primarily made this for personal use in plugins, but I thought it'd be interesting to share. The idea stemmed from Cymaera's Arbitrary Colors in Minecraft video, in which he uses text displays with blanked text and a colored background to render completely unshaded colors in Minecraft. His video has some insane accomplishments, but I was particularly fascinated by the particle systems shown towards the end. Naturally, once I began making my system, the first thing I wanted to do was recreate the fire particles shown in his video. The text display system alone lets us do many interesting effects just by animating the rotation, scale, and color properties of the displays. For example, here's a quick chimney smoke effect I created by making particles that scale up and fade out over time. Here is a custom firework effect, with one emitter handling the smoke and another one handling the burst of color. Using a resource pack and overriding the text display's text instead of background color allows us to import any 256 by 256 image as a particle. To demonstrate this, I've made a cartoon onomatopoeia effect every time an anvil hits an entity. That's about it for the 2D system, but I think things get a lot more interesting once you bring in the 3D particles. But first, let me explain how we even got to this point. Part of it came from fixing lag issues during the development of this plugin.
No.
Initially, each of the falling death pieces was made up of individual text display entities as faces making up the shape, which worked but was a great way to lag the server. My solution was to instead use block display entities, retexture that block to be a solid color, and then add a tiny piece of code to the vanilla entity shader that essentially says, if the input texture has this specific RGB value, just spit out this color without calculating any lighting or shadows. Later, while spending admittedly too much time working on throwable fruit, I learned that, as of 1.20.5, any item can be given the potion contents data component. This allows for any item to be assigned potion effects, but more importantly, a custom RGB tint color. Combining these two ideas, we can make a basic cube model, assign it as a custom model for an item, give it a color via potion contents, and texture it to be white with an opacity that isn't used by the game. Then, I can make an item shader ignore lighting when the texture uses that specific opacity, creating a shadeless cube with a color that can be controlled by its potion contents. All we have to do to use this as a particle is copy the existing text display code and switch it out to use an item display, setting the item to our custom one. The main reason I wanted 3D particles in the first place was to create explosion effects, so that's pretty much the first thing I did once I got this working. I also quickly made this little beacon effect. I also tried making this volcano particle, but if I'm honest, it looks like it belongs in natural disaster survival and not in any practical use. Anyway, since we now have a particle system using item displays, we can actually use any Minecraft item as a particle. This includes blocks, making it fairly simple to create a 3D block breaking particle by using an item generated from the block being broken. To spawn particles, I made 3 types of emitters. So far, I've shown the constant emitter, which emits particles at a constant rate, and the burst emitter, which emits a number of particles before deleting itself. I also made a movement emitter, which emits particles based on how far the emitter has moved since the last tick. The first thing I used this for was creating a trail particle that follows the movement of players. I also use this to create a grinding particle when minecarts are pushed.